Hello, fellow boosters and those interested in twinking in general. I wanted to start off this video by thanking you all for viewing this video and also being extremely supportive and helpful in my old videos. As some of you know, I previously made videos and guides on twinking in the past, but a few things have changed since then. And honestly, this was in desperate need of an update. Some of the items and information is now outdated. Some things have changed as far as like enchanting, etc. And some of it also was just quick grab and go type situation. I just wanted to get the information out there quickly back then. Uh, this video itself will have somewhat of a PowerPoint presentation vibe to some parts, so feel free to pause the video often so that you can kind of get all the information that I'll be presenting to you today. I will be showing you how to uh, time walk and get to the right timeline for queuing, the gear you want to grab, the enchants, the gems, and I'll also highlight some useful macros in my keybind setup. Again, though, some of this information is not like a do or die. You don't absolutely have to do it. And also some of it's going to be more min max, right? So if you don't want to go that far into it, you honestly can just get the gear and start boosting. My goal is to make this as close as possible to being like a one-stop shop for twinking your Mistweaver monk at level 10. However, some of this information here can also be applied to other twink classes and levels. If you enjoy this video and want to see more for other classes, let me know down in the comments. Additionally, all of this information will be located in my Discord, which will also be linked below. Our community Discord now has over 350 people, most of which who are WoW players and also a part of the twink community. If you need any help with your twink or have any questions, I encourage you to join us there. So, first things first, you want to twink a Mistweaver monk, but don't know where to start. You have two options here. You can either level a fresh character to 10, or you can make an allied race, which starts at level 10. Either or doesn't really matter and will not make or break your character. What race you choose will not make one more powerful than the other, and it's more user preference. However, I would love to know more about what you all choose and how you name them. Let me know down in the comments. Once you have a level 10, your next step is to cap your character's XP. You'll need 10 gold, and for the Alliance side, you'll need to find Beston, which is located in Stormwind Keep in the room to the right of the throne, which can be located in this image here. And for Horde side, you'll need to find Slots, which is located in the Valley of Honor in Orgrimmar, in the very top of the building, located in this image here. Once you have found your faction's experience eliminator, you'll speak to them and select that you want to eliminate your experience gains and pay them 10 gold. At any time you wish to regain XP, you can return to these NPCs and speak to them again to remove the experience cap, but you will need to pay 10 gold again to remove it. So now you have a level 10 character and your XP capped. What's next? Well, that depends on whether you are able to time walk or not. To be able to time walk on alts of any level, you will first need a character at least level 50 and also have previously cleared the time quest line leading up to speaking to either for Horde, the War Chief, or for Alliance, the King, before Warlords of Draenor. Now, I didn't personally experience this because I've played WoW since 2006, but if you are a brand new player, you may encounter this. And I was informed from fellow players within the Discord community that they did encounter this and they had to do this before they were able to time walk. Once you have either found you can time walk or had to clear any quest to unlock it, you'll need to speak to Chromie. For Alliance side, Chromie can be found near the Stormwind Embassy, sitting by a tree, as seen here. And for Horde side, Chromie can be found near the Orgrimmar Embassy, sitting by a campfire, as seen here. You can use this to change which dungeons you want to queue for and also to quest in that expansion. For some parts of gearing your Mistweaver Monk, you will be required to be in that specific timeline to be able to walk in and or queue for that content. However, some areas like Warlords of Draenor, you can walk into that dungeon without changing your timeline. But as an example, Shadowlands will not let you walk in or queue without changing your timeline. Now, there are two main areas for gearing up your Mistweaver Monk, Warlords of Draenor and Shadowlands. Warlords of Draenor can be a bit of a problem if you don't have it unlocked and haven't completed your Garrison. You can change your timeline and queue for Warlords of Draenor dungeons, and sure, that will gear you, but it's much slower than walking in and knocking it out yourself, solo. To be able to walk in and clear these dungeons yourself, you'll need to have your Garrison unlocked. Thankfully, you don't have to do that long intro quest to get access to the area. I'll go into more detail here on what you need to do to unlock your Garrison much faster for both your Alliance and Horde characters. To get started on unlocking your Garrison, you'll need to change to Draenor timeline using Chromie. Once you do, you'll notice a quest pop up asking you to report to the Battle Mage to teleport to the Blasted Lands to assist Khadgar. Accept this quest, and then for the Alliance side, you can find the Battle Mage located at the entrance area of the Mage Tower in Stormwind with all of the portals, as seen here. And for the Horde side, you can find the Battle Mage in the downstairs section of the portal room in Orgrimmar. Speak to them and accept the option to be teleported. You'll then be teleported to the Blasted Lands in Warlords of Draenor timeline. Make your way from there all the way to the Dark Portal. You'll see Khadgar in the center, but do not turn in your quest. Instead, you want to abandon the quest once you're there and just walk through the portal. You'll then be teleported to the area your Garrison will be built, and you can start the quest immediately and skip all of the Warlords of Draenor intro quest line. Once you complete this quest line, you'll gain access to your Garrison Hearthstone. You'll be able to freely hearth to the spot on its cooldown, and you'll notice that there are two dungeons here you can run as a level 10. Shadowmoon Burial Grounds and Blood Maw Slag Mines. However, for Alliance side, you'll also notice that Shadowmoon Burial Grounds has a barrier blocking you from entering by normal means. Now, you can either quest in the zone as an Alliance character until it's unlocked, or you can just run around the path to the left of the entrance, and there is a spot that you will reach that you can look down and jump down into the dungeon area to just walk through the entrance. Now, you'll want to also run one specific dungeon in Shadowlands for one trinket called Infinitely Divisible Ooze, which can be grabbed off the final boss in Plaguefall. But for Shadowlands, you will need to be in Shadowlands timeline to either walk in or queue. It will not let you do either until you are set to that timeline. I generally do this part first and spam Plaguefall until I have the Ooze, because honestly, it speeds up your gearing and WAD so much faster. The best way to complete this is to either have a friend summon you using the Summoning Stone or a Warlock at the entrance, or to just fly over if you already have the flight paths with the Scouting Map toy. Now, this trinket is absolutely busted for any content older than Shadowlands. And the older the timeline, the more busted it becomes. So as an example, in Warlords of Draenor, it may hit a boss a few times before it kills it. But in Burning Crusade and Classic WoW dungeons, it will one-shot them and one-shot the mobs. The slimes proc on their own and will spawn and start shooting at the last target you hit. And the way to make it work effectively is to queue for whatever timeline you actually want to run if you're queuing, and then immediately revert yourself back to the present timeline with Chromie once you see the queue starts. Or if you're manually running into a dungeon, just stay in the present timeline and walk in, and the slime will do its work. Since we're on the topic of gear, I'll show you what I currently have set as my gear Keep in mind, this isn't a list that you absolutely have to have, but it works for me. And I generally suggest you try to stay close to it to avoid stacking too much of one stat. Additionally, this is a loose idea of the stats you want to aim for. Speed is one thing that a lot of twink players talk about, and it is good, yes, but always remember that you can't outpace your own damage, or you will end up leaving mobs behind. And if your goal is to boost others, then you do not want to leave any mobs behind. Speed caps out at 49% in total, which is roughly at 80 speed as a level 10. Mastery as a Mistweaver monk is useless. It's garbage for boosting. Do your best to remove any and all gear that has it, because it only benefits healing, which you will not be doing if you're boosting. Haste is good until you hit around 1.2 seconds spinning crane kicks. It generally doesn't help as much after that, after around 18 to 20%, so no need to overstack that. As for gems, you're going to want to use the Shadowlands gems. And the reason that you want to use Shadowlands gems instead of other ones that you can technically use is because of the doublets that you get in that content. There is one called the Straddling Jewel doublet, which increases speed for the one gem you put in, and an additional 6 speed for every single cluster you put in your gear as well. On top of that, you have the Revitalizing Jewel doublet, which gives you 133 health regen every 10 seconds, and an additional 100 health regen for every cluster you add afterwards. There is one Straddling Viridium that you want to use, which gives you 8 speed, and it just won't let you put any others in. But that's still a good boost right there. Now, the other gems for the clusters is really dependent upon what stat you're still needing. It's not a lot of a gain each gem. However, by using this setup, you will increase your speed and health regen, and then eliminate the need to keep the lifesteal enchant on your weapon, which will give you more options to change that around. Now, for the enchants, here's a list of what I've set up for Mistweaver Monk. Granted, there are other enchants that you can possibly go for, but I've compiled it down to this list that kind of matches with boosting, not so much any other build or class right now. The only thing that you absolutely want to rush and get immediately is Lifestealing Enchant, because that gives you the health regen you need to keep boosting and running through the dungeon without worry of dying. Alternatively, once you get enough revitalizing gems, you'll be able to swap that out to either Elemental Force or Death Frost. The other part of this list to the right of each category shows a number. It states what you actually get from that enchant, because everything's scaled down to your level. So as a level 10, these are the numbers that you will get as a level 10 compared to what it actually says it was supposed to give you, just to avoid any confusion. Now, for keybinds, it's mostly user preference once again. However, there are a few I'd highly recommend you use. The first set would be these. It allows you to quickly change your spec and loot spec with ease. As a Mistweaver Monk twink, you can queue as all roles to speed up queue times, and with this macro, you can quickly swap back to Mistweaver spec at the start of the dungeon and then start your run. Also, with the loot spec macro, you will have loot that only drops in specific specs compared to the spec you actually are going to use. A good example would be the Ooze trinket in Shadowlands. It requires you to be in a DPS spec for it to drop. You can create more than one of these macros for each loot spec. For keybinds, I generally map my keys so I can easily press them with one hand without leaving the general spot for movement. As you see here, I've set them up in a way to map my entire keyboard out for the most part. I won't show every action bar, but you get the idea. However, you can set this up to work however you want it to work. But I do like the ping system, which was recently added in the WoW. It is a great tool to alert movement if you're avoiding any patrols. Like in Plaguefall speedruns for your trinket, I generally avoid a lot of ads there, and you can edit this in your keybind settings. Lastly, I want to lightly touch on professions, as I feel it could be an entire video in itself. It's like most other topics today, which is user preference, but I personally have alchemy for the permanent flask and engineering for the grenade belts. However, you can have stat increases by using leatherworking, inscription, and also you can use engineering for the speed boots. But at this stage in your level 10 Mistweaver Monk or any other class, you're honestly min-maxing with professions, and you truly don't need it to succeed. Now, I know this video is kind of lengthy compared to my previous videos, and I tried my best to keep it as condensed as possible, but at the same time deliver everything that you would want to know, starting off a Mistweaver Monk twink. If I did miss anything, please let me know in the comments, and I will see about maybe updating this again in a few months' time if anything changes during that time. But if there's any other class or spec that you would like me to go over and make a guide for, also let me know down in the comments. And again, I appreciate all of you if you made it this far. And yeah, thanks for everything, guys. And until next time, I'll catch you all later.